Indeed, I'm from Primekss, the concrete technology company. I'd like to start the first presentation, or the first slide of the presentation, with a little cartoon. This cartoon is from a quite famous American cartoonist, Gary Larson. And you can see some bad people throwing dog in the water. The caption says, he beat the Godfather. And I mean, somebody put concrete shoes on the poor dog's legs. And how do you know it's concrete shoes? You can see that by the fact that he has drawn like little cracks in here, this little crack. So by that you can immediately recognize that it's a concrete. You have no doubt. I mean, it's not like a wooden shoes, so the dog will be able to float, or it's not plastic shoes. It's concrete shoes. Or same here. They put the grandfather, for whatever reason, in a concrete cube. How do you know? I mean, you can see the little cracks here and there. So the mission of our company is to change the world's perception of concrete, because we have technology now that enables us to produce concrete that doesn't crack. And why this is big? It's for several reasons. One is that if you think about material properties, then how materials break. They always break in the material where there's crack. So, I mean, and we're talking about any material like steel, for instance. If you want to break steel, it will yield in a place where there's like crack. Maybe it's a micro crack, so it's invisible with the eye, but with a microscope you could see it. And if you follow it, that's where it breaks. Concrete, same thing. So it breaks where there are cracks. Now, the less cracks there are in any material, the less prone it is to breaking, or in other words, the stronger it is. And that is very significant, because then with the material being stronger, you can certainly place the same material thinner. So just because it's stronger. Now, concrete is one of the world's biggest polluters, industrial polluters of CO2 gas emissions. Roughly 7% of global CO2 emissions are attributable to concrete production, because it takes lots of energy to burn limestone to produce cement. So if we can produce a concrete that doesn't crack, so we can build it thinner, so that the total energy consumption can be made smaller, this can be a very significant advantage for CO2 emissions in a field that really is big on CO2 emissions. For us, it also means that we can produce concrete that's far better aesthetically or far better functionally. It's also concrete that lasts longer. Actually, yesterday I was strolling around here, central Berlin, and I bumped into the Holocaust Memorial. And the Holocaust Memorial is made of like concrete blocks, like thousands of these concrete blocks. And so many of them have big cracks. I think they probably tried to design them for maybe 100 or 200 year lifespan. I'm sure they are having a repair issue coming up pretty soon, because they are unable to produce concrete that doesn't crack. And that's not because they didn't try. I'm sure they did. It's that for most, it's that people don't have access to crackless concrete technology. And we are practically the only ones that do. So apart from producing systems in places where we can actually do like floors, what we do now, what we can do is far more. Now, ourselves, we've expanded during the last year quite a lot. So what we've done is we've opened up sales or representation offices in many countries all over the world. Continue doing business with really good customers that are appreciating our technology, like IKEA stores that for the moment in certain geographic areas only choose us. And we hope to expand these geographic areas more and more. Like Volvo cars or John Deere tractors. So another part of the investment that we did went for perfection of our R&D, so that we can produce our crackless concrete in even thinner, better thicknesses, bringing our cost competitiveness up. And certainly for sales team, for hiring sales team, and so we can get more sales in different markets. For the company itself has two major sales units. One is what we call contracting department, which is selling contracts in Scandinavia and the Baltics, where we see stable growth. But next year we can see very good order uptake, which is demonstrated by good order backlog for the next year. So we are confident we'll have good growth. And also in our high margin licensing sector, we are seeing good growth, especially for the second part, end of this year. So we are seeing good sales there, and also good sales in the months that are coming for the next year. So overall, for both groups together, we are also projecting for growth. The growth will coming from both adding new geographic areas for us. So like in licensing, we started to do in South Africa. In the southern United States, we hired a new salesperson. Certainly, we are seeing a good order update also in Russia. So we are sure that we'll get more orders even for this year for Moscow region. And also by the fact that we are adding new product lines, so we started with going for the floors for industrial buildings, which is one of our main things where we are selling. Now we've sold quite successfully like foundations under the houses, but as with the example of the Holocaust Memorial, indeed, many other places where we can simply improve the quality of the concrete and the concrete works, I'm sure our services would be well appreciated. So that's very short slideshow from me.
Thank you, Janis.
To listen for questions.
Are there any?
40% thinner cement, crack-free, 10% cheaper. Is that right still?
We're not trying to sell 10% cheaper. We're trying to sell at the same price level or slightly at a premium. But on many applications, we have lower self-cost. So we try to capture the margin, especially in the licensing section, where the margin is quite nice, and we are trying not to lose the margin. But we could go cheaper too. It's, I mean, if we sacrifice the margin.
So the proper answer is 40% thinner and 10% higher margin.
Yes.
How long have you been selling this new concrete? My question is because often with anything, you find a solution to something, like, okay, non-cracking concrete, but then over time you realize, oh, actually, but doing construction with this causes a problem somewhere else. For example, maybe it breathes less, or I don't know. So have you had enough time to try and think or establish whether there are any negative side effects which would then cause the market to turn away from the product?
Well, we haven't observed any negative side effects at all. And actually, the first things that we did back in 2008. So those were the first projects that we placed for ourselves. The uptake for new technologies in construction industry is really slow. So, I mean, many people complain about it, we sure are. However, it's not undoable, like what we've demonstrated, and the more kind of expertise, experience we are having, I'm sure the more we are having also good opportunities to sell as more references we gain everywhere. So I'm sure it's then exponential. So since 2008, the very short answer, we have seen no negative side effects at all. And actually, very long story, but we believe that our technology is similar to the way old Romans were producing concrete, and is dissimilar to the way how the modern concrete is produced. So you can also say this is like 2,000 years old technology. But we've been able to patent it for various reasons, so it's good.
Which was, clearly you've been doing some new research and development, and you've made some improvements. Can you say a little bit more about those? relative to your patent position and the competition?
The improvements haven't improved our patent position so much because our patent is about the system. What we've improved actually within this is mostly the technology of the concrete itself. We've been able to get, I believe, one of the best persons in the world for concrete technology, so that the concrete to which we are adding our additives has become far better than it used to be a year ago. So whereas we are actually selling more like the additive itself, I'm not sure we are emphasizing even this improvement too much to our customers, but like the real emphasis for us has been to improve the concrete to which we are to add the additive. So it's a combination of concrete and additive that gets the final result really good. So that's where we spend significant amount of money, and we've been really, really successful. We have few metrics. One is we measure per square meter how much we are doing repair works on our jobs, and that metric has gone down tremendously. And also for the concretes done this year, we've seen completely zero cracking. So we are very, very satisfied, actually.
You present yourself as a flooring systems company. Are there other applications of the technology that you see yourself moving into, and over what time frame?
Sure. So the main thing has been industrial floors, and that's for regulatory reasons, because it's the least regulated for various reasons. But we've now come forward, and we've been able to do also foundation slabs under houses. So for instance, this house could sit in a foundation like this. So that's kind of the next market where we are going into, where we see lots of like good opportunities. Also, we have built, but that's maybe 4 or 5 years down the line from serious commercialization, but we've done back home in our home country, where we are very strong with universities, professors, and regulatory bodies. We build complete houses out of this technology. This can be very significant because, I mean, essentially, this technology is the one that can enable a really fast 3D printing of houses. So if we build examples of houses using our technology, we can machinize the whole house concrete production process of the houses, because that's essentially you need a fiber reinforced concrete structure to do it in a 3D printing way. I'm sure that we'll see more and more of these things. So that's definitely one area where we are looking into for the future, or being prepared for the future, but we are not commercializing it seriously in all other markets except home country for regulatory reasons.
So the additives could be manufactured, made anywhere. Is it location constrained or whatever? Or you just sell, you produce it here, then you sell to other parts of the world, or you can produce it locally?
You can produce the additives locally. But for the production, you need a sizable unit. So you need to achieve a certain volume of sales before you start to produce. So we've been looking into possibility to produce ourselves and decided that it could be reasonable for us to look into this once we reach a certain kind of tonnage per year, so that we can build a sizable enough factory so that it can be produced in a profitable way.
Follow-up question on that. I've been working with a concrete company in China, in Beijing, in the last 3 years also. So in terms of product, concrete product itself is tightly controlled by the diameters. You do not produce it too far away from the projects. So related to your answer just to my previous question, say you need to get to a certain level before you produce it. I guess down the road, your business model, you have to take that into consideration as well.
Yes. The way we produce is that, so we actually produce this concrete kind of on site. So what we are doing, we take the local concrete from China, produced locally, maybe 10 kilometers from our site, in a batching plants. That's how kind of concrete is produced. Then we specify how this concrete needs to be produced, and then we bring it to our job site. On job site, we have special machines that we've developed, with whose help we are adding our additives and some fibers that are needed. So we modify the concrete on site. Then we deliver. So all our concrete production process happens locally. What gets delivered, let's say, from us is the special additive that gets into the concrete. So all of the concrete gets produced locally. It gets special additives on site. Only the additive gets delivered to the job site. So it's not such a big quantity. It's okay for us to deliver to China, we're sure.
And the margins are such that you can afford long distance supplies?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Janis.